Hi Laura, thank you for joining us today. You were just in a panel session earlier this morning, and it was all about a federated approach to ISR. Perhaps if you could just talk us through exactly what that is and what needs to be overcome to achieve it.
Well, a federated approach to ISR, there are so many different organizations and countries that bring ISR capabilities into the warfighting environment, that what you're trying to do is, one, bring all those capabilities into a coherent enterprise so that you can take all the different capabilities and have them operate together efficiently and effectively. And then you want to federate the data that's collected back to some organization that's going to exploit it. And then you need to get the information disseminated. So it's kind of a bigger enterprise of how you take all of the collection capabilities and command and control that, and then take the data that's collected and get it actually analyzed into a finished intelligence product and get it out to whatever person needs it. And so that's kind of what we talk about when we talk about a federated enterprise.
So what were the key challenges to getting to that point?
Well, one of the biggest challenges is right now there is just so much information that's being collected. Is how do you, one, transmit that data around the battle space or back to whatever unit's going to be doing the exploitation. And some of that data is huge. I mean, when you start talking about imagery, you have to get into the compression so you can get it across the communication links. And then once you've done the exploitation and you've got your finished product, how do you then get it back to the people who are going to use it? So in some of our exploitation architectures we have right now, we take the information that's collected in the field, we send it back to some reach back organization, and now you've just got to turn around and get the finished product back into the field to the folks who are actually going to look at it and employ it either in an operational context in the field or back at the headquarters making a decision.
So how close are we then to, I suppose you'll never get quite real time, but surely that's the main aim with this data, is to be able to move it backwards and forwards multiple times as quickly as possible to update it with.
Some of the data flows very, very quickly. We've had a lot of experience since the early 90s and what Gulf War I on moving that data around. And some of it happens really, really quickly. We've got some units back in the United States that are on communication networks and are right in the fight on what's going on in Afghanistan and Iraq. But we have so many new capabilities out there that it's how do you take all these new capabilities and bring them into your architecture, and then also how do you bring in a bunch of new countries? That we have people who are participating in our operations in Afghanistan who were not in the operation in Iraq. And so now you've got to take their capabilities, their command and control structure that they're bringing, and make them part of the bigger network. And you have to respect the capabilities they're bringing, and you don't want to make them completely change what they're doing. And so that's the biggest, I think, the biggest challenge out there, because as I said, the group we had, the coalition we had in Iraq is not the coalition we had in Afghanistan, which was not the coalition we had in Libya. So you have to build something that's flexible enough to bring in a bunch of countries with their own independent capabilities and merge them as quickly as possible.
And it must also therefore be a standardization nightmare as well.
I would say that people are a lot more aware of the need to do the standardization and how do you get the data flowing and make it discoverable. But it is a huge challenge. We get a lot of companies that come forward with some great capabilities, and we've kind of had to force them to go into a broader network, which is something they weren't thinking about when they were developing their visionary idea of what they want to do. But I would say that where we are now, as opposed to where we were 10 years ago, we've made huge strides. And I think we tend to get caught up in this being very frustrated with the challenges we have, and every once in a while need to step back and take a look at how far we have come, and it gives you an idea of where you can go in the future.
And talking of the future, one of the things that came up a lot, which I think started out as a real example but became almost a figurehead example of my 17-year-old son, who just kept coming back again and again, and I think it brought up a really interesting point about how we're going to have to adapt our approaches to data and our approaches to intelligence and sharing to cope with the new recruits that are coming in, who we are hoping will actually be better at it than we are.
Yes, well, I know they're better at it than we are, because I know I take some of my younger folks, and when I have a technology thing that needs to be solved, I give them what I'd like to see on the outcome, and then I walk away, because I know that my brain doesn't operate, you know, on the level of the data or how to manipulate the different programs that are out there in the way that they can. But on the other hand, I think one of the things that was also brought up is a requirement to actually have time to just shut everything off and think about what you're doing. And I don't think we always give enough credit to the amount of time that you spend just thinking about stuff. I know when I get caught up doing something, a lot of times I have to turn off my computer screens and shut the door so that I actually have an hour to concentrate on a particular thing and give it the brain power that it requires. Because it does get so easy to get distracted, and email pings and somebody IMs you, and next thing you know, it's the end of the day and you're going, I never finished that product I was supposed to work on or the report I was supposed to review.
And therefore, on that note, I won't hold you up any longer. So thank you very much for speaking with us, and I look forward to seeing you later in the conference.
Oh, thank you very much. It was a pleasure.